In September 1991, a special task force in Phoenix, Arizona, is investigating a mass murder at a Buddhist temple. Their best chance at catching who did this is to track down the murder weapons, a .22 caliber rifle and a 20-gauge shotgun. The task force receives a tip from MPs at Luke Air Force Base. They report that 17-year-old Rolando Caratachea has recently been stopped on the base in possession of a .22 caliber rifle.
We went out to interview Rolando.
The teenager produces the rifle, but claims he didn't have it at the time of the murder.
Well, it'll need to be claimed. I loaned it to my friend, and he just brought it back dirty.
So what's the name of your friend? We asked him who he had loaned the rifle to.
I don't remember. I have a lot of friends.
What do you know about a Buddhist temple?
Caratachea shares an apartment with 17-year-old Jonathan Duty. Duty says he's horrified by the murders. Detectives take the rifle back to police headquarters, planning to submit it to the state crime lab for testing. Then the crime lab identifies the real murder weapon. The .22 caliber rifle, taken from Rolando Caratachea weeks earlier. With 2 burglary arrests in the months preceding the temple murders, Rolando Caratachea is firmly in the investigators' sights. Rolando Caratachea is brought in for questioning.
After Caratachea told us who he loaned the rifle to, and we went looking for Alex Garcia and Jonathan Duty.
Born in Thailand, Duty's biological father dies when he is only 6 years old. His mother abandons him and moves to Germany, where she meets and marries an American soldier.
She sent Jonathan and his brother to family members to a different place in Thailand, so he lost his home as well.
2 years later, Duty and his brother are reunited with their mother and new stepfather in Germany.
So now Jonathan has to acclimate to a new father, a new country, where the climate is different, the food is different, the languages are different.
His stepfather punishes him for his poor English.
Are you listening to me?
There were beatings and there was aggressive behavior in the home. We later learned that Jonathan also may have witnessed his mother being beaten or treated poorly.
I don't understand. Why don't you understand what I'm saying?
I think Jonathan's primary response psychologically was to withdraw. And what he did was withdraw into himself.
I don't understand why you don't listen to me.
He's protecting himself psychologically so that whatever's happening doesn't hurt so much.
The family moves from Germany to Georgia and then, finally, Arizona, where once more, Duty finds himself getting bullied.
The way that a child responds, by the age of 9 or 10, depends on how they responded earlier in life. So in Jonathan's case, he further withdrew. He went up into his head, where he could play and fantasize a world that was safer, more in control.
Duty realizes he needs to toughen up and becomes enamored by the world of the soldier.
The discipline of the military, of flying, of the orderliness, predictability of the military lifestyle. This was all very entrenched in his thinking.
In high school, Duty finally finds a friend in Alex Garcia, who's also had a difficult childhood.
Alex has this idea that his brother is the favorite.
Your brother's report card's always a pleasure to read. Why is yours just average?
That experience is bound to cause feelings of anger and resentment.
What are you going to do about this? You going to improve your grades?
But in any family and in any culture, anger against the parents is taboo.
You're not listening to me.
So many times what happens is the anger is
All
there,
you do is walk away.
but it gets suppressed.
Garcia also gravitates towards the military. He joins the ROTC, where he serves at times under Jonathan Duty.
For once, these two young men, these teenagers, felt like they could fit in. For Jonathan, Alex was the peer that wasn't going to tease him, that would tolerate his language difficulties. For Alex, Jonathan was the older brother who was finally giving him some respect.
They train fanatically, even fantasizing about running their own covert operations.
They were obsessed with military history, military missions, military weapons. They strategized on how they might engage in a mission.
In the adjoining room, detectives continue to question Jonathan Duty. He's more cooperative.
And the investigator that was questioning Jonathan, his style was very soft, it was very gentle. And of course, this was what Jonathan had been missing his entire life. I think he had a sense that this is what Jonathan needed in order to be understood, in order to be heard.
High school student Alex Garcia has agreed to tell Maricopa Sheriff's investigators exactly what happened inside the local Buddhist temple the night 9 people were massacred.
Somebody told us there was a golden Buddha made out of solid gold.
We need to do something so I can get money to buy my car.
So what are we gonna do?
We're gonna break into the Buddhist temple. They carry this golden Buddha.
I got my dad's shotgun, and Jonathan had Rolando's .22. I wore a green scarf around my face, and Jonathan had a hat and these tank goggles. We got it all from the family store on base. So when we got to the temple, we did what we trained for. We just snuck in through the front door. We burst in and Jonathan yelled, "Police!" And there were 5 or 6 monks. They seemed a little startled to see us. Jonathan told the monks that there were some escaped convicts and that we were there looking for them. There were things breaking, things falling. All this noise was going on. And then he came back in.
Come on, let's go! Let's go! Everyone on the ground right now! Alex!
Then it was my turn to go in through the other rooms and see if there's any other valuables we missed. When I came back, Jonathan was standing on the couch, pointing his gun at all the monks. Jonathan turned around and told me,
"No witnesses. We gotta go."
Then he started shooting. He walked around, shooting them in the back of the head with his gun. He shot some of them a couple of times, just to make sure they were dead. Bang, bang, bang! I took the shotgun, and I just shot it off 4 times. I couldn't tell you why. When it was all over, they were all dead. So we left.
They had planned and were acting out their own mission. In this case, it was Lieutenant Duty and Officer Garcia. It was pure fantasy, except they carried it out, and 9 innocent people were killed in cold blood.
Because the case against Duty is relatively weak, prosecutors decide to offer Garcia a deal. In exchange for his testimony against Duty, Garcia will not receive the death penalty. But there are certain conditions that have to be met. An attorney explains the deal to Garcia, then calls Romley with a revelation.
Me and Michelle, we decided...
In a deposition, Garcia says that a month after the Temple murders, he began dating 14-year-old Michelle Hoover. He tells Michelle to steal her father's truck and pistol and run away with him.
She was infatuated with him in the way that a first love only can be. So when Alex proposed the plan that they run away together, she was all over it.
They end up at a campground northeast of Phoenix. Out of money, the couple begins searching for someone to rob. Now it's Garcia's turn to devise the mission, which at best will gain a few dollars rather than a mythical golden statue.
you love me, you'll kill her.
Both Alex and Michelle seem to have what we would think of as sociopathic traits. Both were able to sit there and be with this woman that they just shot in cold blood and essentially be unfazed by it.
The two wait, and without a care, watch their victim slowly die. Michelle Hoover pleads guilty to second-degree murder for shooting Alice Cameron and is sentenced to 15 years in prison. In exchange for avoiding a possible death sentence, Alex Garcia agrees to plead guilty to 10 murders and to testify against Jonathan Duty. He is sentenced to 271 years in prison. Duty is convicted of murder, but the jury is unconvinced that he pulled the trigger, and he too escapes the death penalty. He is sentenced to 281 years in prison.
Alex and Jonathan found each other and shared the mutual bond of their experience as outcasts. This was their wicked attraction. They engaged in this covert operation in their minds, thinking they were playing the role of soldiers. What began as a fantasy for the two of them ended as a terrible tragedy when 9 innocent and peaceful people were killed.